Chapter 8. Finding True Love. Chelsea. I had moved into the apartment with Chris. It was a townhouse. At the exact same time, Chelsea, her soon-to-be ex-husband, and her two children had moved in next door. The first glimpse I got of the neighbor was this 5-foot cute brunette. She was wearing leggings, and all I can think about was that that is an ass made by God. She intrigued me with her beauty. I had to know her. I asked Chris, because he was working with her. He gave me the insight that they were married, but they were separated and they were getting a divorce. I had found her on social media. It was a site called My Yearbook. I did not have the... she made me so nervous. I could not talk to her in person. And this rarely ever happens to me, but there was something about her. I didn't want to mess it up. It was easy to message her on Yearbook. One of our encounters was... She likes to tell this story. It's cute now. It wasn't cute when it happened. She was on the porch with her children. Our daughter was in the stroller, Ariana, and our son Johnny was on the porch, and they were just little. And he was ready to go. He wanted to go really bad, so he tried to take her off the porch, and he had flipped the stroller. I stood there in the doorway as she's picking up the stroller. For her perspective, she was like, "What an asshole," and I understand why. For mine, I was too afraid to go out there and help. I didn't know if I touched the stroller, if she was going to flip out on me, because some people don't want help. Some people do not want strangers touching their children. In a day and age like this, that makes sense. Then it progressed from there. We had this thing on My Yearbook. I still remember it. It was 3 wishes. She asked me what my 3 wishes were, or she gave me a genie and asked me what my 3 wishes were. One of the wishes, the only important one, was I wanted a kiss. We had met outside on the porch because we shared a front porch, and we kissed. And my whole world spun like I couldn't believe. Like I was floating. We ended up making out, coming back to my apartment. We were pretty hot and heavy on the couch. I laugh because of what comes next. My stupidness, while making out with her, tells her that I love you. I couldn't control it. It just came out. It came out of nowhere. Of course, it scared her. She had said that she had to go home. She had work in the morning. And I was left just shocked by what had come out of my mouth. She was left shocked by what came out of her mouth. It was just... I can't explain it. I couldn't help it. It was like a word vomit, if you want to describe it as something. I was in the moment. I just came out. I've only said it to 2 people, to Tasha and Chelsea. I've never said it to any of the other females that I dated. So I had to recuperate from this. I understood. I wasn't mad at her. I understood that I had goofed up my chance at that point, but I was determined. It was the best kiss I have ever gotten. So we became friends. We slowed things down. The reason why, I gotta tell you this first. The first person I fell in love with in this situation was her daughter, Ariana. She would come outside and she would bang on my door. I would let her in, and I'd pick her up and she'd take all my hats down and she would play with them and she would look so cute, and then I'd give her back, spend like 10 minutes and then I'd give her back to her dad. This was kind of a recurring thing. She was just so adorable and she had such a big heart. So after my goof up, I was put in the friend zone, which is not bad. I know that most people, you can't get ever out of the friend zone, can't get ever. But that's not entirely true. You just need to know what you were doing. And I was put there because she was getting divorced and she wasn't ready. She did started seeing my buddy Dean, only because he lied to her about our relationship. He didn't tell her that we were best friends since high school. He played it. He also played it cool, like he wanted a casual relationship, which he did not. So, they started seeing each other. John had moved out. Both my roommates got let go from Sitel at the same time. I had no way of taking care of the house on my own. She had no way of going to work without a babysitter, so I moved in to her basement, which is where I grew up as a child. It was just freaky. And she needed a babysitter. So I moved in and put my stuff the way it was when I was a child, or when I was a teenager living there. It's so cool. I took care of the house. The children were fed. When she would come home from work, when she worked late, there would be dinner for her. I would save it. I usually didn't eat until after she got home. We'd eat together. We did get drunk together for the first time. Dean had gotten drunk and fallen like asleep on the couch. We had all been drinking, and I brought up a story about my buddy Chris, how he always gets drunk, and for some reason he has to get naked. It's like a freedom thing. He doesn't do it anymore because we get drunk or we drink. We don't get drunk, but there's children in the house, so he no longer is that free spirited. I'm telling her this, and she's like, "Well, you shouldn't make fun of him. A body's just a body." He was on my side. He knew my feelings towards her because he's my best friend. I don't have to say anything to him for him to be able to read me. So he said, if a body's just a body, go ahead and show yours. She did. It was the most beautiful naked thing I've ever seen in my whole entire life. She happened to do this as her soon-to-be ex-husband was walking by the window. We all got done drinking. I made an ass of myself and threw up in her garbage can and apologized about 120 times. This is before we moved in. We went home and we can hear him. They got into it. He was not 100% okay with the divorce. They had there were strong ties there. There was things that I didn't know about and things that I understand now. But so that was that. After I moved in, I had a conversation with Dean that night about how he had a month, and then I was going to date her. Again, drunkenness. So I'd moved in. I started watching the kids. I'd take Johnny, either she would take Johnny to school, and I'd pick him up, or I would take Johnny to school. She would pick him up. But walking Johnny home from school one day, I remember this is the cutest thing ever. He looked up at me, held his hand out. I grabbed it, and he asked me if I would always protect him. It touched my heart so much. I just smiled. Then her and Dean had a conversation. They were, she thought it was a goofy conversation. She said she was never going to get married, and Johnny crawled in her lap and said that it was okay. She didn't need to ever get married. He would marry her when he was old enough. Like, he's such a sweet boy. He still is. I'm very proud of the way he takes care of his mother, the way he takes care of his girlfriend now. He just makes me so very proud of him. But this set Dean off. He showed his true colors. And this is where things started to go bad, because for her, it was just casual. He told her it was casual, but in light of day, it wasn't. He had a lot of things invested. So at that time, I began to do more sweeter things. It came easy because it just was. I would be playing music before she got home. Cute music while we were eating together. This was all my perfect plan of winning her over. They had split up, and sorry, babe, I have to tell this. So we were making out on the couch, and things got a little bit more hot and heavy, and she asked me to come upstairs to her room to help her plug in her phone charger. That's why we had this little inside joke about plugging in her phone charger. It was the first time that we had sex, and it was. I'm gonna sound corny. This sounds so cheesy, but it was magical. From then, we started dating. We didn't really date. We were messing around. We went to her home for Thanksgiving. Her parents still lived in New Hampshire. Her brother and sisters were in New Hampshire. We were riding up to New Hampshire in the middle of November, and it kind of got like the weather got a little bad. It fogged up the windows. So I was writing on the windows, and I wrote, "I love you" on the windows. And I turned her. I was just messing around and giggling because it was no big thing back then. I would tell her I love her, and she would go, "I know," and not say anything. But at this particular moment, on this particular ride, she said, "I love you too." And it was at that point that I knew that I wanted her to be my wife. That I was going to win her over and be married to her. So we get to New Hampshire, and I meet her family, and her older brother does the "you hurt my sister, I'm breaking your neck" routine. I've done that 1,001 times. And then her older sister Amber, kept asking me to marry her. Like, it was awesome. I met Sierra for the first time. She called me Uncle James. That girl is one of the brightest young ladies I've ever known. She is good with anime. She is creative like you wouldn't believe. She is going to make something of herself, and I love her to death. She's awesome. So we get back from all this. A couple months have gone by, and we had a spot in January, which understandably she was scared and nervous about where this was going next. I was ready because I had gotten my other relationship had been years since then. We got together in 2008. I have this thing about the number 8. This is chapter 8, and I'm talking about Chelsea. We met and got together in 2008. And October 29th. Anyways, October will be our 8-year anniversary. So yes, I have this thing about 8. I was born on the 8th. I have an 8 in my social security number. That's all you're going to get. If you add up the letters to my name and do it right, you can get 8. So 8, I'm just saying 8 is my lucky number. So that was a rocky month because she wasn't sure, but we made it through that because we can make it through anything. We made it through that. It was shortly after I had planned a meal for her when she came home. She had sat down and I asked her to marry me. She said yes. We were engaged for about 3 years before we got married. Her divorce was final a month after our son Logan was born. Hearing about her being pregnant with Logan is one of the best stories I can ever tell. I had to go to training for the military. I went for 2 weeks. It was a weekend after Father's Day. So I went, and I was in Germany. My sister had taken a pregnancy test just because my sister thought she was pregnant. She just wanted somebody to take one with her so she wasn't scared. The first ones came out. My sister tested positive. Chelsea tested negative. They waited a week so my sister could make sure that she was. Or they waited a few days, and they took another one. Chelsea said that she was positive, and Amber's said that she was negative. So they made sure. I'd call her from Germany, and she had gotten on the phone and she had told me that she was pregnant, and I was so shocked. I dropped the phone, and the stupid battery came out. Like, I'm standing in front of all these military dudes, all these, guys just relaxing and having fun, and here I am dropping the phone. I was speechless. At that point, I didn't think I could have children. She had an IUD in. She had it removed, and shortly after that, she was pregnant with Logan. Watching her be pregnant with Logan, it was the best. Sorry. That news was the best Father's Day news I've ever gotten. That was the best Father's Day gift ever. I'd gotten back, and watching her be pregnant was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in the world. I, of course, was overbearing and wouldn't let her do anything. Whatever she needed, I got. McDonald's run at 2 o'clock in the morning. That was fine. But with her, McDonald's, it's more a convenience store run at 2 o'clock in the morning. They didn't bother me. I went with my buddies, and we got whatever she needed and came home. I would talk to Logan because I heard that talking to them while they're in the womb would help them recognize your voice when they got out. When they were born. One of the funniest things ever was we had animal crackers, and I was playing on her belly and yes, I kind of ripped off the scene from Armageddon. Before he goes on his mission, he's sitting there and he's playing with the animal crackers. So yeah, I kind of ripped that off. But so I'm talking to Logan, and I had the little me and Chelsea and the little Logan, and I thought it was funny to go, because the animal cracker broke, I think, and I was like, we have to get a new mommy. And I got another animal cracker out, and Chelsea grabbed the new one, and she ate it, and she goes, "There goes your new mommy." But it was all in fun. And then the day he was born, I was so nervous. We had 2 scares. I should really mention this. We watched The World's Greatest Dad with Robin Williams. In the middle of watching this movie, after watching this movie, she had gotten severe pains. We thought she was in labor. When I was born, I was week late. So we knew that Logan could be early. So we get in the car. On our way to the hospital, we were coming around the corner. She had flicked a cigarette out the window, right as the state trooper is pulling by. So the state trooper pulls us over. And at this time, I have a suspended permit because the car I sold before my father gave us this Blazer, which we were driving, the car I sold, the plate hadn't got turned in on time, so my license or my permit had gotten suspended. So I'm driving around with a suspended permit. We get pulled over. He follows us to the hospital. They escort her into the hospital. The Blazer was messy, so I get searched, and then I get a ticket for driving with a suspended permit, and she didn't get a ticket at all. So we get upstairs, come to find out she has a kidney stone, which is common, I guess, with birth or with being pregnant and all those hormones. So we deal with that, and then February 20th, I want to say 21st. It was the day Logan was born. She was having those pains again. So we went, and it was another infection, but it was close enough time for Logan to be born that the doctor's like, let's just do this. So she's sitting there, and she doesn't want to take the shot. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it's the one that goes into your spine. She didn't want to take that. So she takes some meds, and the nurse told her it's only going to cut the edge off. She was still going to be in pain. And of course, she's pregnant, and with that much pain, you can't think straight. So she takes them, and then she is still in so much pain. We finally get her the depot shot. No, not the depot shot. We finally get her the shot. Yeah, I'm horrible at this. We finally get her the shot, and labor starts. And Logan wants to play peekaboo. He crowns, and then he goes right back in. And then she'll push, and he'll crown, and then he'll go right back in. He was a smartass, little smartass since day one. So the doctor's like, I'm going to help you. And he gets this suction, and he gets the top of Logan's head, and she's pushing, and he's pulling. Logan comes out, and they take him over to clean him. And I'm standing in the middle because I don't know which one to go to. My son was born, but my wife just went through that incredible pain. I didn't know who needed me at the time. She looked at me and smiled, and she said, go to your son. So I'm going over there, and I see him. Sorry, it's just so happy. I can remember seeing him for the first time, and he was so beautiful, and he was a part of me that was in the world. So I spend some time with him. They bring him over to her all cleaned up. We spend a couple nights in the hospital. She can't breastfeed because his suction is way too strong. He was hurting her, making her bleed. So the nurse came in one night, the first night, and she took him and bottle fed him for us. And she explained to my wife that didn't make her less of a mom, that she bottle fed him and tried to yank the bottle out of his mouth. By day 2, the nurses were impressed with him and how he was moving his neck around and how he was moving his little head. Our last night, we got a really good dinner. That was good. And then we got to take him home. We named him Logan Douglas Preston. I didn't want to name him after me because I wanted him to be his own person. So we gave him my middle name, and we're trying to come up with a cool name. Of course, she wouldn't let me name him after Superman. I wanted to name him Kal-El, but she wouldn't go for that. So we went for a different superhero that I like, Logan, Wolverine. And and he's been our little bundle of joy / little bundle of hyperness ever since. That is chapter 8. Thank you for listening.